Hello and welcome to the grand finals of the international tournament Cobble Frogs held in Paris. On the left we have Phantom and on the right we have Kjet. This is round 2. Phantom is playing the Genie, a solo ranged fighter whose deck revolves around drawing the 3 wishes and drawing a lot of cards and discarding their opponent's cards. Black Widow and Maria Hill are ranged fighters with 2 movement. Their deck revolves around completing missions all around the board to do effect damage and discard cards as well. First off, we have a 3-action turn from Genie, going in to attack with Imprisoned Wrath and forcing Maria Hill to defend with Acting Director of Shield. Not a card that Black Widow wants to play early because it will recur the mission cards, which are the only schemes in Black Widow's deck, and they are kind of the crux of her deck. It looks like Phantom is going after Maria first to prevent any recursion from happening, and to try to pressure Kjet because having a sidekick means that you have defense cards and attack cards split amongst them, and sometimes you don't want to spend any cards to defend the sidekick, or sometimes you might not have any. So I think that's a good call from Phantom to go after Maria first. So after an explosive start we have some maneuvering. There's a boost in with the opening scheme from Kjet, and it's a fake out into a feint. That was well seen by Phantom, and I mean feinting most cards out of Black Widow's deck is pretty good, but the fake out especially because it denies the card draw an extra action. So now Black Widow is sitting directly next to Genie, and he will trigger the 3-action turn and he'll move away. It's interesting because Genie has a lot of cards that trigger off being next to the opponent, but it looks like Phantom just wants a whole bunch of cards and will again go after Maria. So that is an undefended 3, your wish is my command. Phantom, I think, declines to discard 2 cards to gain an action. It's pretty expensive at this stage of the game, particularly with the amount of discards that Black Widow is capable of. Having cards in hand seems like a good idea. On the other side, Kjet also wants to keep cards in hand in case the 3 wishes comes up. And there is an overdraw and a discard by Phantom. It's another fake out into a wishing for more wishes. So Kjet ends up drawing 2 cards and the Genie ends up drawing 3. Everyone's happy really, and no damage gets done. There's an action gain there, and Widow decides to attack again, and it's a Widow Sting into I've made Sultan Selfless. So 3 damage through, that's a heavy hit from Black Widow, but Phantom's card does trigger, letting him see all of Kjet's hand and discard a card of his choice, which is exceptionally powerful. So we have 2 missions there, 2 Widows line, there's a double identity switch defense gone, again the only Maria defense I think that is available. And it's clear what he's going for, and on such a small map it's very hard to evade a 3 movement ranged fighter. So there we are, and the Widow Sting allows Kjet to step away, but of course there's a boost in by Genie as an undefended attack because we all saw the hand earlier, so there's an Imprisoned Wrath to take down Maria. So that means there is no scheme recursion, which is a big deal for Kjet. As well as a ranged fighter down, or ranged psychic down, meaning that he can't cover as much of the board and he can't block in certain ways if he needed to. So he'll continue attacking. It's a Widow's Kiss into an I Grant You Death. So 2 damage through to Genie and none to Black Widow because Black Widow was not adjacent. So Genie will return the favour, and here is a Careful What You Wish For into a Widow's line. So 1 damage through, and the Genie didn't lose the combat, so the effect doesn't do anything there. Black Widow is able to move the Genie further away. That door is closed on the left, meaning that the zones are not connected that way. And then just some further maneuvering. Health totals are 11 for Genie and 12 for Widow, so still pretty close. Maria is gone, that is notable. One of the Genie's health regain cards is gone, it looks like, but it hasn't been played. Here is a Magic Pulse Sanction, which I think Kjet played by accident because it is technically the wrong mission as he's in the wrong starting space. But these things happen. These players have had 2 very long days of Unmatched, so it's even in the finals, these very, very high level players can still kind of slip up sometimes. It happens. Anyway, I think instead Kjet will just maneuver, boosting with a Maria card to get in nice and close and open the door. I think that's a 2 value, so he's able to do that all in one go, and then play the Friends Agenda, meaning that when he's adjacent to the opposing fighter, he can deal 2 damage. So there is one of the missions gone, and we'll search for the next one. We're seeing a lot of good cards come out of the top of the deck, and we find a Kinshasa Directive, which means if Black Widow is in her starting space, she gets the opponent to discard 2 cards. As a reminder, that is the top space of the map, furthest away from the camera. So here is a Your Wish Is My Command into a Widow's line, so no damage done, and the combat was not won. Widow is able to then pull Genie further down south towards the other side of the map. And then Phantom will maneuver again. There's a slight camera adjust to keep up with the discard pile of both players. We've only seen 2 missions so far and no wishes from the Genie, so it looks like Phantom might be holding on to those. And here is a match pro sanction that played in the correct starting space there, so 2 damage through to Genie, who's down to 7. And Kjet shows the other missions in his hand, meaning that there is no filtered card draw from the top of his deck there. And that means Phantom also knows that there's 2 schemes in Kjet's hand, meaning that they're not attacks or defenses, and given the nature of Black Widow's cards, that could be a big deal. Here's an I Am Freed into a double identity, so it's a flat 3 block, and Genie will be able to dance to another space and deal damage to an adjacent fighter, which he does. We are currently 7 health on the Genie side to 11 for Widow, and Widow will just run out of the house and close the door. Genie will follow suit and attack with a Careful What You Wish For into a corner web. So just a 1 damage through, but no effects that particularly mattered in this exchange. Phantom is doing a good job of staying aggressive and pressuring Widow, who, as we said, her cards are not always the most consistent. There is a trigger of Kinshasa Directive, forcing Phantom to discard 2 cards, which is putting pressure on Genie and kind of making him double maneuver more often to keep cards in the sand for the big turn. So after some deliberation, it is a Back in the Lamp and an I Grant You Death. I think it's quite interesting that Phantom is deciding to discard the Back in the Lamps, the healing cards, but I am not a particularly experienced Genie player, so I will assume that he knows exactly what he's doing, and that is the correct call. Prisoner's Torment is also being discarded, which is usually a pretty good draw card, although Widow's values aren't that high. Here's an I Grant You Death into a Feint, which is, I suppose, the difference of 1 damage there, but at least it wasn't a higher value for Kjet. So Widow will return with another attack, and it's a Widow's Bite into a This Is No Parlor Trick, which is a fantastic defense in this on this occasion, bringing Widow's Bite down to 1, and because Kjet didn't win the combat, there is no discard there. Really good use of that card. So Genie will follow up and keep up the aggression, and it's Wishing for More Wishes into a Widow's Kiss, so no damage, and both players get to draw some cards. Phantom looking to draw up there after the the scheme discard, most likely. So Widow's closing the door, but on such a small map, it's kind of a token gesture, really. It looks like we're following up with more aggression from the Genie. There is the obligatory shot of the pizza that I think Phantom ordered. Yeah, it was a long day, and we had to eat in between rounds, but these players were keen to keep on playing. Here is a Feint into a double identity, again Phantom just drawing out more defenses from Kjet. Genie's attacks don't typically have a high value, but Black Widow also doesn't have a lot of health, so you just kind of have to defend as much as you can, really. Here's another attack by Black Widow. We've only seen 1 Widow's Sting and 1 Widow's Bite. There's another one. Both players will force the other to discard a card, although with differing circumstances. Phantom's effect is more powerful, getting to look at Kjet's hand and discard a card. There we see the last scheme, a Widow's Bite, Feint, a Maria card, which is useless in a Widow's line. So there's definitely some choices to be made here. The Feint is always a good call, but there goes the Widow's Bite because it's kind of a threat to Genie's health and game plan. And then Phantom will choose to discard a Back in the Lamp. There is the last one gone, not a single one played. And so Genie will keep up the aggression, knowing exactly what's in Kjet's hand. Careful What You Wish For into Widow's line, punching through 1 damage, although that allows Black Widow to get a little bit of distance. Doesn't put her out of range, but she will then maneuver out of the way and through the house. Here is another gratuitous shot of the food that was served at that venue, which was amazing, by the way. The staff and the food there were excellent, so I would recommend. I'll see if I can put a link to that venue down in the description below, so that you can drop by if you're ever in Paris. So it looks like Phantom has reached the end of his deck, which is a dangerous place to be. We of course have not seen any of the 3 wishes, so it looks like we're about to pop off. Kjet just sits there and draws more cards because he knows what is about to happen. And we'll see if the game plan comes to fruition. We're on 5 health to I think 9, and we're just kind of taking a look at what cards are available on each side and what cards each player has. So here is a maneuver from the Genie, taking 2 damage and getting in range of Widow, and I don't believe we saw a Genie identity trigger there, so it's just the 2 actions from Phantom. There are the 3 wishes, which is curious because usually you want to make the most of that big turn, but Phantom might have just not enough options in hand. There we see exactly what he has in hand. It's a parlor trick, a I Am Freed, a Wishing for More Wishes, and a Feint. And he might need as much as he can get to survive the following round. So he decides to go through the top entrance just to make sure. He deliberates that for a little bit, and Kjet has to discard 6 cards out of the 7 in his hand. So there's Scheme, a Maria card of course, another Maria card, a Feint, that's a strong choice, a Caught in a Web, and another Feint. That's pretty rough. I mean, it's always a difficult position to be in. So now Kjet only has 1 card in hand, although Phantom only has 1 action, and we know what is possible. There are no action gain cards in his hand, and neither could he afford to use it really, because discarding 2 cards when you only have 4 is pretty rough. So here's an attack, and it's undefended, is I Am Freed. Kjet decides he knows what's possible, so he just takes it, and it's maximum 4 damage. At this point, Phantom decides not to do the extra ping and decides to teleport elsewhere. It does force Widow to have to come to him if she wants to keep hitting him, but I don't think Genie is winning the exhaustion game here. So there are again the cards that are left. It's a Wishing for More Wishes, a Parlor Trick, and a Feint. Nothing of particularly high value, and most of which Widow can punch through. So there is a boost from Widow, who will make sure she enters within range and in the right zone, and will take a shot at the Genie. And it's a Widow's thing into a Wishing for More Wishes. Genie goes down to 0 and then draws 3 cards and goes down to -6, or more than that I think potentially. So there it is, that's game. Very well played from both players. At the end of a very long tournament, that is the conclusion. I hope you enjoyed these snippets of the tournament. Thank you so much to the organisers, we had an amazing time. It was really well organised. Thank you for watching, and if you want to support the channel you can check out the links in the description below. Take care and have a Merry Christmas.